Hey everyone, it's Mace1370. Today we are going to do a showcase for Bruiser Straze on Lifesteal set. Before we get into it though, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, please see the video description below for a link to my Discord. Okay, so we've had Straze for about a week now, and I tried him on the Cleave build for the last video, and I wanted to try him on a Bruiser build. Let's pull him up here. And I figured Lifesteal gear could be a pretty decent option for him since he hits for a ton of damage on his skill 3 and his skill 2. So ideally, whenever he goes, he's going to heal all the way back up to full health, right, from the lifesteal set, or get a pretty massive heal. So here are the stats. Speed tuning, I figured about 160 to 170 because this build is super stat hungry. And to be honest, I think I would probably want even more bulk if I could get it. This is just the best that I could get with the gear that I have available. So I would say this is a very difficult build to make, and you can only probably achieve it if you have super premium lifesteal gear. You could potentially put him on speed set, I guess, to get more bulk, and then you would forego the lifesteal part. I'm going to test a little bit and see how valuable the lifesteal actually is. I feel like I want to draft him mostly with, some sort of Soul Weaver support to heal him up, particularly Maid, who can also give him attack buff. So the lifesteal may not be super useful. Also, I put him on Hellcutter because we're building him slow, and we're going to use Hellcutter to cheat on crit here so that we can, get more bulk attack and crit damage. So yeah, basically the idea with this build is to protect him with tanks like Crimson Armin or, Troublemaker Crozet, revivers like Ruel or Maid, and basically to sit back and slowly execute one thing after another. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple games with Bruiser Straze. Alright, so for these games, I mostly was pre-banning Fallen Cecilia or Basar. I was going back and forth trying to figure out which one I'd like to pre-ban, and to be honest, it didn't seem to make a huge difference, since typically if your opponent takes one of these heroes, you have to ban it. The reason being is that Straze is pretty vulnerable, and if he gets pushed back and unbuffed, it can make it difficult for him. Also, Landy is a real weakness, to this type of comp where you want to sit back with a bunch of buffs and slowly kill your opponent. And so because of that, I was trying to take Landy early, but, that's a really difficult thing to do in this meta because of Carrot. So it's kind of a tricky draft, and I can't really say it's super consistent or that I would recommend it. I feel like maybe a better way to do it would be to take the tanks early and then take Landy and Straze later. Problem with that though is people draft Carrot just a ton anyways, so you may just have to forego the Landy entirely. The problem is that you can't ban Landy and Basar for this build. You could try it with Carrot, but then a lot of people will bring a particular team composition to really handle Carrot well. For example, things with really high ER and stuff like that, and then your Carrot doesn't do anything, and she's your only source of damage, and it just doesn't work out. So anyways, you can see my comp here is that I've drafted 2 tanks, Straze, Landy, and Maid, and I'm hoping that I'll have enough mitigation to allow Straze to live and slowly pick off the enemy team. In addition to Carrot, the opponent has also picked Blood Moon Haste, which is kind of annoying to deal with because we have Maid on our side. So if Maid ever uses skill 3 and something dies, you're going to get like the cascade of haste resetting his cooldown and killing another thing. The opponent last takes Bisaria, so I'm going to ban that here, since it would basically just remove all of my buffs and make it pretty easy to kill Straze. In some ways I feel like I'm basically offering Landy up for sacrifice here, but that's okay because this is a Straze showcase. Another strategy I was trying to do to deal with the Carrots is putting Shamadra Staff on Maid and then using a bunch of effect resistance imprints on everybody. So you can see that I'm unlocking all of that here. Landy has effect resistance, which is another reason to take her with this comp. So my hope is that Straze will not get debuffed by the Carrot. Okay, so we can see that the opponent gets first turn Regeneral Purgus, so he's going to be able to put up attack buff. I get kind of an unlucky counterattack with Trozit there, so he's going to attack into General Purgus and bump the entire team up. In a way, this might have worked in my favor to a degree. It's going to cycle his team back. And we're going to, get to see Carrot on her skill 3 here. So Straze does resist, so the imprint tech worked a little bit. Did not work on Landy. I have Troublemaker on Bastion to give additional protection for my Strays as well. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Troublemaker Crozet's skill 3 on Strays, and that will boost him up to the front of the line, and importantly I want him to go before Maid. And the reason why is because Blood Moon Haste is the highest hit point here on the enemy team, so we can just take out Haste here, and then Maid can use her skill 3, with no consequences. So that's with no attack buff, just deletes the Blood Moon Haste with 30k damage, and chunks the rest of the team a good amount as well. So now my Maid can go. She can put up revive on everyone, and Straze is protected with his invincibility as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and skill 3 with Landy here just to get that off. She does not go into Guiding Light, so she's just gonna die again, but that's okay. With 2 fire units on the board, I wasn't really sure exactly how much she was gonna do. So here I just go into Ravi. I do get a lucky stun. I wanted to save the souls to soul burn Straze's skill 2. And we get another stun. That one I don't think really mattered so much because you're going to see here our skill 2 is pretty much enough to wipe out the enemy team. But it does guarantee that the opponent will not Ravi solo us. So that's the first game. Okay, so this game is against Joy, and if you've played RTA a fair bit, you may or may not have run into this player. He has a fairly specific style. He likes to pick 2 DPS and 3 Soul Weavers. The Soul Weavers are all on Idol's Cheer. So I just pre-banned one of the Soul Weavers. I'm sure he has plenty to choose from, but I know he also likes Charlotte, as you can see with the first pick there. And I figured in case I wanted to use SSB, Destina is really annoying for SSB to kill because she's grass. So we take Maid Chloe here early, and also Carmen, I think. I kind of want to draft, a Soul Weaver as well, and I may take a second one, just depending. This is basically going to put us in a situation where we both have a lot of sustain, so I don't want to, draft 0 Soul Weavers and not have enough damage to punch through, and then just get out-sustained into the late game. So here I debate about taking SSB early against the Charlotte. I decided to take Diane, and I wasn't sure if he uses Rowana or something like that, but I wanted the flexibility of banning one of the DPS if I had to, so I didn't want to take SSB just yet. I also didn't want to tip my hand with Strays either. But I figured that, in this scenario, I'm pretty much just going to have to. If I take SSB too early, he can, just counter it with these last 2 picks, and I think Strays is harder to counter. So I take Strays here. If I'm able to let the DPS through, I would probably want to ban the Ruel just to deny the revive. Unfortunately, he picks Landy, and that's something I'm going to have to ban since I have a ton of buffs on my side, and I just can't really deal with that. So we'll take the SSB here. So this will be, a DPS that's good into Charlotte. I was a little worried that if he banned Strays, then my SSB would not be activated enough, to counterattack, and my damage would be too low to do anything. I guess with all the Idol's Cheer, it probably wouldn't be an issue since you're pushing Charlotte up so much. Either way, he bans Carmen, so we get both of our damage dealers. Here I'm just resetting the F-res because we don't really need to give Team White F-res in this scenario, so might as well just keep it on Maid. So here I'm hoping that Ruel is the highest hit point healer, so Straze just deletes her right away. And then I don't have to worry about the revive so much. Joy opens up just by using the skill 3 on Elena right away, probably just to build souls since he assumes nothing's going to die at this point. I kind of assume the same thing. I skill 3 with my Diane, and then I have the option of using skill 3 here on Maid, and I choose not to just because I figure, it's Frenzy 0. My Maid's going to make it back around at least once, and this will allow attack buff to, cycle better, so I'll be able to keep it up longer. His Charlotte does have attack buff herself, though, and I kind of forgot that Maid is taking the Aureus damage from SSB, so Maid takes actually quite a bit of damage there. To be fair, I think he does crit, and got a dual attack there as well. So we bat back and bounce forward. I don't think it was like an unfair assumption to think that my Maid would survive a cycle. So we skill 3 with Straze, and that just deletes the Doris. Unfortunately, it was not the Ruel, though, so now we have to deal with the Ruel revive. And the Charlotte does a crap ton of damage. So my Maid goes down. So now I just have to sustain with my Diane here. But we do have SSB, who's going to be doing a decent chunk of damage herself since she has attack buff. You can see how ridiculous all those Idol's cheers are. Charlotte is just jumping to the front with all this push-up. Luckily, Straze is sitting back with invulnerability, so he's good for now. That does res the Charlotte, or rather, Holy Sack triggers resing the Charlotte, so we still have to deal with Ruel's res herself, which is kind of bad news since I assume he's going to res Charlotte if she dies. I don't think he can afford to res Doris on the off chance that I just kill the Charlotte, and then he's left with 0 damage. And I would likely be able to finish him off before he could cycle around, to the Ruel res a second time. So he heals up Ruel here. I'm going to burn the skill 2 on Straze. So that wipes out the Charlotte. Does not kill the Elena.
I believe this is what the goddess wills.
My Diane does not have her skills up. I'm hoping she can cycle back around, and that way I can use skill 2 to get her back up to a more healthy state. So here comes the Ruel revive.
A miracle will occur. Look beyond the sky.
So Charlotte's back. I'm checking the skills there to see if Elena has her skill 3, but she doesn't yet. So SSB gets a bat back. Unfortunately, Charlotte is invulnerable, so that doesn't do anything to her. It does push her up, though, which is kind of nice, because I wanted her to go before Straze, so that Straze would be able to do damage to her. So I'm able to get off my skill 2 here. I think that was better than using skill 3, since this provides the heal and the barrier, and I'm almost dead, so I have to just maximize how many hit points I get back, basically. Unfortunate crit into SSB from the Charlotte, but I don't think he crit Diane, so she's okay. We finish off Ruel, and now we just have Charlotte left. This will CR push Charlotte, but now I can use skill 3 here and top back up. And so against 2 water units, I think I'm looking pretty good. Or rather, since I have 2 water units, I think I'm looking pretty good into a fire unit.
The time has come to blight the world with horror.
And we are able to finish it off for the win. So that's all. Thanks for watching.
Shall we go back to the beach?